Good afternoon to Professor Charles' class, and we want to, me and Bert are going to film or put together a project in how to make chicken fried rice. And I learned this years ago from a lady that was from Hong Kong who, when she heard that I really like chicken fried rice, she said, well, let me help you and I will just give you the recipe. And so I've been making this for several years now. My family really likes it, and so hopefully you'll enjoy this. The first thing you want to do is, and my wife, thanks to her, she has done all the prep work for me. So what you want to do is get your rice going first, and the rice is already actually completed. We've already cooked that. She also cut up all the chicken. I would suggest using breast meat, but you can use whatever kind of chicken that you have is fine. What you do while you're waiting for your rice to cook, you would take, depending on the size of the people that you're going to feed, I would recommend doing anywhere from 4 to 5 eggs. I'm going to use 3 eggs for Bert and I this afternoon. By the way, it's a beautiful day outside. Okay, and I'm going to grab my kwizu, or chopsticks. You're going to mix this up fairly well. And you can, I like to add milk. It makes the eggs more fluffy. But you can use water if you do not have, if you do not have milk, you can use water. I'm going to add a little bit of soy sauce in with my egg mixture. And the amount of milk, you don't have to add a lot of milk, just a little bit. That's fine. Again, you want to make sure all your ingredients are mixed up fairly well. Make sure you've got enough oil on the bottom of your pan. You don't want your eggs to stick. Your temperature probably medium high, because eggs burn fairly easy. You can tell by the sound that the skillet is hot. While I'm waiting for my eggs to start out, I'm going to, or to finish cooking, I'm going to wash this same bowl, and I will use this again to put the finished eggs that I have back into this bowl. That way you're not using a lot of different dishes. Now, for you that aren't aware, this is a certain style of Chinese wok. It's not actually authentic. It's an American Chinese wok. We do have some that are authentic. And you don't want to burn your eggs. You want to keep close eye contact on them. Watch your heat. You can hear that. It sounds really good. They're frying really nice. I feel like I'm on the Food Network.
The new Paula Deen.
Yeah, the new Paula Deen. We're not going to cut that out from the video.
No.
Bert is so graciously filming all of this. He's behind the scene right now. Yeah, there he is.
With a guest appearance from a pro baseball player.
Yes, that is Andrew Gabriel, our son, and many of you have already seen him in class before. He came a couple of times. By the way, we're filming this ahead of time, but the day of class, we would like to give you a sample of this. As the Chinese usually say, as Professor Chow once told us, Ni chilama, have you eaten today? That was more important than even asking ni hao. That's more of a Western term, as we've been taught in class. So, of course, we're going to bring real homemade chicken fried rice that I will prepare, or my wife will prepare. Me and my wife, probably. Or I should say, my wife and I will prepare on the day that we have class. Okay, so your eggs are done. You're going to put them in a bowl here. And as you can see, it's not, if you've done it right, it's not burnt. The bottom of the pan is still fine. Again, I'm going to add a little oil. Oh, Andrew.
Yeah?
Would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Would you take the car key and run out and unlock the car, and on the back passenger side is the bottle of Chinese whiskey.
Okay.
Would you go out and get that for us? Okay.
I'd like to point out that you just sent your son to go get whiskey.
Yes. Do not do this at home. No, just kidding.
It's true.
Okay, the chicken has already been prepared. Now, I noticed my wife, hold on just a second here. I need to bring this over to the board here. Chicken you must be very careful with. Make sure that your hands are clean, and the cutting knife that you're using is also clean, as well as the board, because chicken, as you know, can carry salmonella, and that can be not good for you. So what you do, you just kind of basically cut up this chicken in smaller pieces. And it doesn't have to be an exact science. You can do it any way that you would like.
What you do again? How do you get it? I just used the remote and I couldn't do it.
You use this one right here.
I hit unlock, but I couldn't.
Hit it twice.
Oh, okay.
You have to hit it twice. Okay, thank you.
I thought that was your finger for a second.
It almost was. You want to be very careful. I felt it, but it didn't do it. It didn't cut me. It was close. I've done this thousands of times, and you want to be careful. I've actually never cut myself making this food. Of course, if you do, the meat that you're cutting is tainted, and I hate to say it, but you want to get rid of it, you know, and use, luckily, and I'm not going to use all this chicken. For Bert and I, and my son, this should probably be a couple more pieces would be great. I'm going to switch back over here real quick to take the wok off the heat. I left the burner on, and I don't want it to burn my oil, so it'll give it a bad taste or flavor for the meat and the rice. When you actually get ready to cook the all the ingredients together, I would turn it a little bit higher than medium heat, because you want to fry the rice. And I like my rice, I'll show you here real quick. I like my rice a little bit on the drier side than being moist. And while I'm at it, I'll take this out. It's going to be...
Hands of steel.
Yes, yes. Okay, I'll close that back up. Okay, so we've got a little bit of chicken left over. I'm going to put that, thank you, son. You can just set that there. Again, you want to make sure that you wash your hands. Yeah, Bert's getting a really good picture of this. Now, there's several different kinds. There's a lot, they call it Joe, which is actually a strong drink. P-Joe, of course, is beer. But they have actually dark, and then they have light. I've used both different kinds, and they both actually have very good flavor. you're not sauteing it, you're just cooking it, and it kind of gives the meat a little bit of a different taste, a little flavor. Okay, so what you're going to do, you can see that I'm going to turn my fan on here. And I add about maybe, for what I'm making, about 2 capfuls. I gave 2 generous capfuls there. Okay, we're going to go back over here, grab the chicken. Does that smell good?
It does, actually.
It kind of caramelizes the meat a little bit. And to make the juices come out a little better, I'm going to add a tiny bit of water. Just a little bit, cold water. And you'll see why. There's a method to my madness here.
Sometimes.
Yes. Bert will attest to that. What is happening here, as it's cooking, it'll cook down and kind of bring all the flavors together. There's soy sauce and then, of course, the Chinese whiskey. The leftover juice, the little bit that is left, I will use when I start adding all the ingredients. Rather than adding water, I'll add juice that already has the flavor to it. And so it just makes it taste really good. Make sure your chicken is done. I usually give it maybe 10 minutes. I have the temperature turned up on 9, so that's fairly high. Preferably, well, a lot of the Chinese use natural gas. They do not use electricity. I don't know about Shanghai or Hong Kong, but I know the city that my wife is from and a lot of towns within mainland China use natural gas for cooking. One of the things that we like about natural gas is you can actually control the heat, whereas electric, you either have it usually high or low, and it takes a while to go down low or to medium. Where natural gas, you get a consistent heat and you can do it rather quickly. That's one of the things I like about natural gas. Okay, this looks fairly good. I'm going to try one of these. Delicious. Okay. So now, I'm going to grab a plate. We have our rice here. I'm going to set that over here.
The eggs.
Or the eggs. I should say the eggs next to the rice. Okay, I'm going to add that chicken that I just finished cooking along with a little bit of the juice. Set this off the heat for a minute. Now what we're going to do, we're going to come back over here, and you remember that we had chicken on this board. So I'm going to wash it really good. Make sure we don't have any contaminant on there. Because what we're going to use this cutting board for is our scallions. Chicken fried rice is always good if you have scallions. And again, depending on the size of the amount of people that you're going to use will determine on how much you want to use. Some people like onions, other people do not like that much. But
Like me.
so for Bert and I will probably use maybe 3 or 4. That should probably be good for us. Make sure you rinse them really well. I cut off just the ends. I'll let you decide at the end of this film if this is Food Network quality.
Well, my filming sure is.
Okay, heads up for Bert. Okay, what I do is I usually take just the tips if the onions are a little bit bad, and you just kind of grab them with your 2 fingers and pull them off. It just kind of gets rid of all the old, if you have any old on there. Okay, and then what I do is I line them all up together. And you don't have to cut them really thin, but fairly thin. Another little secret that I'll tell you that, and I don't know if all Chinese do this, but let's say your knife is a little dull. And I've learned this from my wife. If you don't have a knife sharpener, the back of a porcelain cup works really good. Just a few times like that. And you'd be amazed how quickly that sharpens it. Yeah, just that quick. I could tell when I started cutting into it, it was like they didn't want to cut as easily. And you can cut them smaller or larger, whatever you desire. I cut them about medium. Okay, so we're done with that. Now we're at the next stage, the final stage, and that is the stage of putting all of our ingredients together. So what we're going to do, we're going back over to a hot skillet that I left turned on. We're going to put the pan back on there. We're going to add a little oil. Actually, quite a bit of oil. But you don't want too much. You don't want your rice drenched in oil because then it has an oily taste. But you'll learn it once you do it. Then I add my soy sauce. Then I'm going to go over here. Now, the way I usually prepare this is I usually prepare it per person. I'll make a portion that is probably equivalent to what one person would want to eat, and I will ask them ahead of time, are you really hungry or just a little hungry? And then depending on their answer, I will take and make a fairly good size of rice. Okay, now here's where the juice comes in. You add just a little bit of that. Again, you have all the flavor that you're getting off the rice. And don't be afraid to let it sit for a little bit. Your heat is, I have it turned to about an 8 if you have an electric stove. And it's not going to burn. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back over where my scrambled eggs are. And I'm going to add maybe about half. Mix that fairly well. Then I'll come back over and I'll add about half of my plate of chicken. Then I'll switch over here and I will grab just a few. Now, I don't put all my scallions in the rice. I just kind of add them right towards the end. They barely get cooked. They're really soft. You don't want to put it in at the beginning because then you overcook them. But they add a really good flavor to the chicken fried rice. Okay. As you can see by that, that is a fairly large plate full of rice. But for a person that is really, really super hungry, they should be able to eat that with no problem. Depending on, I like the rice in the bottom that's just a little bit crispy. When I was in China, we went out to a restaurant one time and they made this kind of it was like a little bowl of stoneware, and they actually cooked the rice and the meat and the vegetables in an oven. And when they brought it out to you, you had to wear. They brought it out with gloves because it's very hot, and they warned you not to touch it. But after you ate the center. But I always like to eat the outside edges because it was crispy rice and it really tasted good. Okay, so there you have the chicken fried rice. I hope you enjoy this.